Well, hello everyone. How are you? Good evening. Happy Wednesday. I know my lighting is a little bit low. I'm sorry, but just getting settled in here. Bisme Gaming, that's funny. Okay. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Greystone Gardens. Samantha, Cassandra, Jeremy. Thank you guys for being here. Cell phones off, right? The movie's about to start. Cell phones off, lights off. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Grant. How are you? What has everybody been up to today? Well, hello, Janet. How are you? Aren't you guys supposed to be at dinner? Jeremy's got his milk and cookies. Hello, Pizza Man. How are you? It was such a beautiful day here today. It was like mid-70s. It was gorgeous. Kevin is asking, how did I get into worm farming? Hello, AJ's Green Topics. How are you? I have some of your videos I need to catch up on. So, Kevin, I was sick a few years ago in 2016, and I decided I wanted to really put a focus on my health. So, I wanted to organic garden and fell down a rabbit hole, and I found out that there was this stuff called vermicompost, and that it was like excellent for organic gardening. You didn't have to use fertilizers, things like that. And so I jumped on the bandwagon that same day and bought a worm factory and 1,000 red wigglers. And the rest is history. Greystone Garden says today he went to work and just put the kids to bed. Hello, Tiffany. Thank you for your video today. That was excellent. I'm really excited for you. Kevin, do you worm farm? How did some of you guys get into it? Anybody have any interesting stories on how you got into vermicomposting? Where did you find out about it? I'd love to hear about that. Everybody saying hello. Still not happy with this light. I've been having a lot of headaches lately, and I don't like my huge light being on in here, but this is a little bit too low light, unfortunately, and there's that weird glare in the background. Maybe if I move this light a little bit, we'll see. Hold on. Oh, this is the worm lamp too, guys. It's not any better, really, so we'll just leave it be. Bait the Hook says, Emily, I've missed you. Are you doing okay? I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. Grayson Garden said he found out about it on YouTube last spring. Bisme Gaming says, every year I like growing hot peppers and found out about the worm castings. Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah, Tiffany, I don't usually have a regular lamp here. I usually have a salt lamp that I like to have here for low light, but the worm lamp is here. I just set it on this table so it wasn't completely dark, but I know it's a little bit darker than it should be, but I do appreciate you guys dealing with that, even though it's driving me crazy. Demetra Shelton, you are my worm hero. Thank you very much. Do you vermicompost? How did you get into it? Melinda says she found out about it at the Green Thumb Festival last year. I didn't realize you'd only been doing it for a year, Melinda. I had no idea. Jeremy says, I like to fish and came across your channel and Grant's videos and thought I could do it. And you can, absolutely. Bait the Hook is saying hi to Grant. Grant had an awesome garden tour video the other day. Looks like he's going to have a lot of really nice plants coming up. Lots of veggies. Hello, Lilia. Welcome. How are you this evening? AJ said, I just felt something in my heart to start a worm farm. I've been educating my friends. Kids call me the YouTube. But AJ, how did you find out about it to begin with? Nora says, hello, first time here. My first time ever with a worm farm. When did you get your worm farm? What type of worms do you have? I'd love to hear about it. I did a huge harvest of cocoons yesterday, and I had been out all day, came home, and from about 5 o'clock, I guess, until it was completely dark, I harvested 10 trays of cocoons and got them all in the mail today. Melinda says, I'm a worm nerd and read every book I can find and watch all the worm friend videos on YouTube. It's something fun because you can always learn something new. So that's always really, really exciting. Cassandra said, I can't even remember when I first heard about it. It's been about 3 years. Yeah, it's hard for me to remember exactly what I was researching when the vermicomposting came up and why I even clicked an article and found redworm composting and all these YouTube channels, and but I don't know exactly what I was even like Googling to begin with. Tiffany says, I started in 2014. I was working for environmental services at the time and rescued a very sad worm factory, and I've been hooked ever since. Nora says, I have red wigglers. I got into it because I have a garden, which is an excellent reason to do so. Carla says, hello, I'm new, just started worm farm in April. I garden and have over 50 houseplants, so I have plenty of use for the black gold. And isn't that the best? When I've gotten a lot more houseplants now that I am vermicomposting, and it's something nice about having some greenery around where you live. I honestly can say I had all of about one plant in the house until a few years ago, and really in the last year I've really gotten a lot more. Oh, Jeremy, you are very nice. He says 23 people watching right now and like 12 thumbs up. Smash that button, people. That's very kind. Yeah, I always appreciate the thumbs up, guys. Let's see, the Wyatt Life. Hello, how are you? Bait the Hook said rescued worms. AJ says, I don't really know how I got started. My family members thought I was nuts when I told them that I was interested. Oh my gosh, when I told my parents that I bought a worm farm, they were like, what in the world are you doing? And when I said it was in the house, my mom nearly keeled over. Tiffany says, my family still thinks I'm nuts. They're probably right. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if my family still thinks I'm nuts. I'm sorry, guys. But they definitely, I don't think, would do it themselves, at least not indoors. Certainly not indoors. Bait the Hook says, hit that thumbs up. It's free. That's right. Tiffany says, my family still, I'm sorry, I thought I already read that. I'm just getting my coffee in me. Maybe that will help my headache. Caffeine always seems to do the trick. I think it was Cassandra when I posted that I was going to be going live, and if there's any topics she wanted to discuss or that you guys wanted to discuss, she said that she wanted to know why she couldn't sleep. Let's talk about insomnia. And I told her that being a night shift nurse, honestly, I can say I sleep pretty well, but I sleep pretty well during the day. If I have to sleep at night to get up for something, I drag. My body's gotten so used to kind of sticking to a night schedule. Tiffany says she's nursing a migraine herself. Feel better. Yeah, I've had this sharp pain right behind my right eye, and it's like comes in waves, and my eyes start to water. And I haven't had one like this in a while, so not sure what's going on with that. Usually I'm very sensitive to the weather, but I don't think any rain's coming, so maybe it's allergies. I popped some Advil and Claritin before I sat down, so we'll see. The Wyatt Life says, my phone is going off, sorry. The Wyatt Life says, I bought a house in the country this fall, and behind the barn on a cement slab is a ton of old wood. Underneath it, there's about 2 inches of beautiful wood compost dirt full of worms. Yeah, and that's where like the worms live in nature, and it's absolutely incredible that slowly rotting and like decomposing wood is like a spot that they really enjoy because it holds on to that moisture so that they can really get in there. I actually there was a video posted this morning, I believe. I believe it's from Grow Your Greens. It's John, and he actually toured Texas Worm Ranch, which is Heather Rinaldi. It's her farm, and I met her down at the vermiculture conference, and it is incredible. And they use a lot of wood chips, and he really tours the whole thing and explains it. I'll definitely post that video below because it's over an hour long, and the interview with Heather isn't until about the last 30 minutes. But honestly, it is worth the watch. I totally would watch it again. Very, very interesting. And apparently that fungal rich compost that has a lot of wood chips in it is like superior to any compost you could even make in your house. I mean, of course, compost from your house is great, but those wood chips are just like next level. Greystone Garden says he watched it already. It's funny, I got an email telling me, hey, you need to watch this video. It was just posted, and I texted back, I'm watching it right, or emailed right back. I said, I'm watching it right now. Fish in the Mitten TV. What's up, Grant? He's saying hello to everyone. Tiffany saw it as well. She said it was excellent. Yeah, and Heather is incredible. I mean, she's like a microbiologist, just can explain to you all about looking at the slides and all of those microbes and why these ones are good and these ones are bad, and this is a bacteria. But you want some bacteria, but it needs to be a balance with nematodes and fungi. It's really, really cool. And the speech she gave at the vermiculture conference was absolutely incredible. Some of the most mind-blowing information. And she was able to deliver it in such a way that I really was able to comprehend it. And it's absolutely fantastic. And what we're able to do with vermicompost is really beyond anything I could have ever imagined you could do organically. Linda Bush says, hi, Emily from New Zealand. I got into worm farming when my husband wouldn't build me a compost bin. So you decided to push the envelope and make yourself your own worm bin? Yeah, the Wyatt Life, I will. I'm going to see if I can find the name of the exact video, but I will post it below in the description when I get off of here. Let's see. I think it's called, the channel's Grow Your Greens. We will see. It is Learn Organic Gardening at Growing Your Greens. And I'll pull up the video. I'm just going to pause it. But it says the best compost, I believe, in Texas, found on Texas Worm Ranch, something like that. Best worm castings I found in Texas and maybe the US. It was just posted today, and I will definitely post it. I was really blown away. He really delivered it well. And at Grow Your Greens, John is really, really into everything organic. He has done videos on worms before, but all of his content's really great as well. Let's see. Grant says he's been playing with worms all day. Finally went through my outdoor bin today and got video. I didn't know you had an outdoor bin, Grant. How did I not know that? Have you ever done a video on it? Bake the Hook says my ANCs are doing good. Thanks again for them and the urban worm bag. He's thanking Grant, I think. The ANCs are excellent to put in the bag systems for sure. They're so they're challenging to keep and not have like climb around. Oh, Grant says they're his yard worms. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So any of you guys that saw that community post, I had 3 pictures of cocoons, and I wanted you guys to guess which set of cocoons were which. Most of you got the African night crawlers right, which were in the middle. But the other 2 pictures, everyone seemed to have mixed up. And now I'm forgetting which order they were in. I literally just looked at it before I went live. Okay, so it was the red wigglers, then the African night crawlers, and then the European night crawler cocoons. That was the picture from the post. Tiffany says she's looking forward to seeing Grant's video. I've moved all of your worms outside. You're in New Mexico, right, Tiffany? And like your weather's been all over the place. I think you said it snowed or something the other day. Demetra Shelton says, can an urban worm bag be used outside? I'm thinking of putting it under my deck. I would advise against it. Steve, the developer, advises against it. If you build your own stand and it's protected from the rain, I guess it would be possible. But the issue is that if you buy it with the stand, it needs to be on a completely level surface. Although, I mean, a lot of people use it in their garage or things like that. I think like under a carport or something would probably work. But it might be something to reach out and ask Steve about to know for sure. Tiffany says it snowed twice here in May. That's insane. It actually, like a week and a half ago, we had like 2 or 3 days where it was getting down into the low 40s or like even upper 30s at night, and only like 45, 50 during the day. And then this week we had like an 86-degree day. I don't even know. The Wyatt Life says, I started a small orchard, a small vineyard, and we have a huge garden, and I'm using the wood compost to mulch everything, worms and all. I thought it was a huge mess and turned out to be a huge resource, which, I mean, isn't that awesome? Like, you don't have to clean all of that up. You can just let the worms help you, and then be able to feed your orchard and vineyard, help make those plants ultra healthy. AJ's Green's topic says, how many worm bins do you own? How many pounds of worms do you think you have now? Well, I have about 40 trays of breeder trays downstairs, so that's easily over 10,000 worms. Yeah, easily. And then inside, I would say I probably have close to 20 pounds of worms, and then outside I probably have 4 or 5 pounds of worms. But bin wise, I lose count. Let's see. I have the outdoor bin. I have all the bins in the basement. I'm not going to count those. I have a red wiggler bin that I never really do videos on. I have the little 3-way composter. I have the forbidden foods. I have the coffee bin, the 2 carbon only bins, the new Worm Bin Basics cocoon bin, the Worm Factory 360, 2 urban worm bags, 2 vermi bags. What am I missing, guys? That might be it. That would be 13. But I feel like I have more than that. I feel like I'm missing something. But oh, the sand versus eggshell. So that's 15. So I don't know. It's a lot. Tiffany says she has 2 urban worm bags on the back porch and 1 on the front porch. I keep a very thick layer of bedding at the top of the bags. Lilia says there might be an issue with rats chewing through the material if the bag systems are kept outside. Yeah, it's something to consider, what types of bugs like roaches or things like mice, rats, raccoons, things like that could potentially be interested in your worm bin. So yeah, exactly, Whitney. Cocoons, raccoons. So just take it, in stride, put some thought into it, and if it works for you, you have a level surface and it's protected, I guess it's fine. But my personal advice would be to check with Steve. He's great at responding to emails, and see what he thinks. Bisme Gaming, have you ever made vermi tea? I have not. I'm very familiar with it. It was a hot topic at the vermiculture conference. Tiffany has some excellent videos making that. They show making worm tea on that video posted today by Grow Your Greens. But I'm spread very thin lately, and I always have good intentions of doing all sorts of new things, but I've had to kind of pull myself back a little bit because if I want to have quality, I need to kind of keep myself where I'm at. If I go much above this, I'm just not going to be able to give the best content possible because I'm filming at least 8 hours a week between filming and editing, and then I'm putting easily 10 or 12 hours in a week with my breeder bins and trying to work on the website and stuff. So I'm doing the best that I can, and I try to bring little bits and pieces of extra stuff that I do, but even some of my feedings, because my updates are getting spread a little bit more than they used to be. Some of them I'm feeding in between. You just do what you got to do. CRT says outdoor bin. Are you asking me about my outdoor bin? Because my outdoor bin I was going to go out to tomorrow. I had the intention of harvesting it. I don't think I'm going to have the time to harvest it, so we'll probably just give another massive feeding on top to keep them up there so that when I get back from vacation in 2 weeks, I leave for vacation on Wednesday, next Wednesday, so a week from today, I can hopefully get a harvest in. I honestly don't even know how much I'm going to be able to plant in my garden this year. I don't have enough hours in the day. Somebody asked me which bin produced the most castings. It's from Nora. I mean, I guess it depends on the size of your bins. I think the CFTs, the continuous flow throughs, like the Vermi bag and the urban worm bag, probably once they're up and running and established, they can give you the most consistent compost, not necessarily all at once, because you don't harvest the complete bag. You know, you harvest a little off the bottom and you still keep feeding up top. But if you have like a large tote, if you have a huge trash can like I have outside, that's a massive amount of compost. But, you know, providing the most compost versus, you know, what's easiest to harvest, what's going to take a really long time versus a little bit of less time, it's sort of what you want there. Tiffany says, my dogs keep everything out of the yard besides the deer and the elk. I found none of them produce much odor. Oh, as far as the bags, I'm like, the dogs or the deer? Okay, I got you now. Demetra says all good points. Bait the hook says or the fish. Are you saying that the worms are good for the fish for fishing? Because they are. Tiffany says, I don't know how you find the time. I am not sure how I do either. If you could see around my living room right now, you might know how I find the time. I neglect some of the other stuff that has to get done. You know, I am off, Monday evenings until Friday evenings. But since I sleep during the day because of my work schedule, I really only have like full days Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that I can really get a whole lot of stuff done. So it's cramming a lot into a little time, and you still have grocery shopping and appointments and all of that stuff. There are 24 of you in here, and I have 25 thumbs up. Awesome. You guys are all giving me thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Oh, Cassandra's saying she thinks I forgot the outdoor bin on my list. Very possible. That is very possible. I let's say I have somewhere in the teens of bins that I do videos on, and then all of the breeder trays in the basement. The Wyatt Life says a lot of mice and voles and shrews out here where I live. They get into everything. Yeah, and they can make it really hard to garden as well. It's we have a ton of groundhogs, and I swear we've relocated a couple, actually caught them in traps in the backyard and took them away, and somehow new ones move in right away. So they wreak havoc. And then we also have we have like a lot of wild turkey, and we have deer, a lot of fox and rabbits, all sorts of things that, are coming through the yard. We also kind of live out in the country, and we have a lot of like field land, like overgrown land behind our house, and that creates its own issues because it's a lovely sanctuary for those animals, but then they see some of the houses behind it with lovely gardens and they want to come eat. Nora says, "Oh my God, I should be doing more things just hearing your schedule." Believe me, I find time for myself, but when you put in a full day doing stuff, even stuff that you love, you're still exhausted, and then things like dishes or sweeping or vacuuming kind of get pushed aside a few days, few weeks longer than they should. Oh, okay, let's say the Wyatt Life says, "We have a great husky who will root." I was like, wow. Okay, we have a great husky who will root around the wood piles and get the mice. She is really well trained. I think she knows 20 commands. That's probably extremely helpful to keep things out of your yard, for sure. Yeah, I did post a picture of Bait the Hook. Yeah, the deer in the winter. We get some does that come up. Some of them sleep in our backyard. They like lay right up against the back fence line or next to our shed. And then sometimes we also have them by our front porch laying in the bushes. So you get out of the car, me being a night person, I come home sometimes ultra late at night because I'll go to the grocery store at like 3 a.m. And I come home and there's deer that jump up as I'm walking up to my front porch and nearly scare the life out of me. Melinda says her chickens will eat mice if they catch one. Yeah, if they get into that little zone where they can get to it, they would. We also have a lot of stray, like not a lot. We have a couple of stray cats. At least I think they're strays that kind of hang around the backyard. I think they're probably what keep the mice numbers down because we had mice the first year we lived here, and I have not seen a mouse since then. So who knows? Tiffany says her dogs hunt gophers. I don't know about mice. Yeah, I had a schnauzer for years, and we forget that it's kind of in their nature because we're used to them just being little cuddly dogs that lay with you on the couch and things like that. But schnauzers were actually originally bred as ratters, I think, over in Europe, and so it's in their blood to go hunt those animals. And there was a den of rabbits in my parents' backyard, and my dog got a hold of one of the baby rabbits, and it was the most devastating thing for me ever. And I was so mad at the dog. And schnauzers have those big beards and like the mustaches, and he had blood all in it. Although he did not kill it, and we were able to take it to an animal hospital, and it ended up getting fixed up and released into a sanctuary. But it was a traumatic experience for sure. But right now we do not have any pets. We have enough worms as it is. Let me see. Tiffany says, yeah, we've dealt with that. It's awful. I mean, I understand that that's, it's in the nature of animals. That's how they eat. But when we're like, gosh darn it, you have food in here. Why are you going chasing the little bunnies? Yeah, I will never forget that day. I thought I was going to kill the dog. Jeremy says, has anyone put castings in their yard to grow grass in spots that will not grow? Just asking. I don't want to waste the black gold. Yeah, Cassandra says, no pets. I have a 2-year-old. Yeah, that's enough to have on your hands. Exactly, Bait the Hook. It's their instinct. Jeremy, I have not. However, that would be an ultra quick and easy video for me to do because since we've lived in our house for going on 5 years, I guess, there's a big bald patch, and I honestly don't know if it can grow anything on the very back of our corner of our property by our neighbor's house. But it's been this huge circle patch that maybe occasionally a weed will pop up out of it, but like nothing. It would be very interesting to throw some compost on there and a little grass seed or even like a little wildflower seeds and just see if anything would grow. I actually kind of like that, and that would take me all of about 10 minutes to go out there and do that, because it would be an excellent example of how it works, because I know for a fact that nothing has grown there for at least 5 years. And Grayson Garden says, yeah, go for it. Cecilia says, yes, Jeremy, it works great. The Wyatt Life says, we have a pack of like 20 coyotes that live in the woods right by our house. Most of them are pups from the spring. They are really cool to watch, but when we get chickens here, it might be an issue. Yeah, I think that'd be a big issue. We have black bear, but they don't typically come into this residential area. There's actually a conservancy, like a nature conservancy, not that far away, and they are spotted there a lot. But apparently we also have like mountain lions or something. I don't know. I've heard rumblings. I've seen pictures from people's trail cams near the house, but I don't know if they're coyotes or I don't know what they are. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But apparently we have some other larger cat type, predators as well. Yeah, that's right, Cassandra. World Composting did a video. If it's the video I'm thinking about, he treated like a new tree that he planted, and then all the grass immediately around it was ultra green and lush compared to all the grass spread around it. I'm actually thinking where I'm harvesting the cocoons in the backyard. It's like at the back of my driveway, and the area that the water kind of filters down to. I really want to take some pictures now and see if in a few weeks, since I've been doing this for about a month now, if the two places where it filters down, if the grass is greener, and also it flows right down where my neighbor has this like red bush. I don't know what type of bush it is, but he has several in a line. It'd be very interesting to see if the grass as well as that bush end up being healthier than the grass and the bushes around it. I don't know, just a thought. AJ's garden, put down manure, then grass seed, then water, and cover with the black gold. It's a good idea, but the black gold should probably be covered too, because the sun will burn off some of the microbes. AJ's green topics. I live in Maryland, so I'm East Coast. Maryland is kind of unique in the fact that we're on the coast, so we have the beach, then we have like the middle of Maryland, and then we have mountains, all the way on the west side of Maryland. So you can kind of do a little bit of everything, and we have all 4 seasons here, pretty distinct seasons. So, we'll get snow in the winter, but we'll get up to almost 100 in the summer. So, Tiffany says, we have, I was like, what in the world is a Catholic mountain lion? Tiffany says we have a Catholic mountain lion in town. It only is seen near the church. That's hysterical. Well, hopefully, it's, a good Catholic with some values, not going to hurt anybody. I use black gold with rye grass. Yeah, I mean, black gold can be used for anything. The vermicompost is so good for any of our plants. I mean, a lot of people focus on its use for their vegetables, which is, of course, most people's priority when they are using it. But on your ornamentals, on your house plants, on your grass, doing aerated teas and treating your lawn, all of that is ultra beneficial because it's spreading all that good microbial life and all those nutrients throughout your entire yard, throughout the plant, making healthy root systems. So absolutely. Greystone Gardens, wrong hand. No, it's my right hand. This is my great-grandmother's wedding band. I've had it since I was a child, and I've worn it probably since I was 13. I never take it off. I probably haven't cleaned the darn thing in like 6 months. Cecilia says, Emily, I wanted to ask you, I saw in the news something about composting humans. Is that true? They are doing that. Yes, they are they've now passed a law in a few states that instead of being buried and taking up space in cemeteries to, compost humans, there's also people getting cremated and then having a tree like grown from their ashes. But I don't think the whole process of cremation is beneficial in any way. I do actually like the idea of composting. Humans, if you die, why not give back to the earth? I mean, your body laying in a plot. Anybody can put a headstone anywhere to remember you by. So why not give back to the earth? Eve Growing has a lot of controversial information on his channel. However, at least he's proven a point. He picked up a piece of roadkill and had it composted by his worms. So would I put that compost on my edibles? Absolutely not. However, it can be done, and that's what happens in nature. So I don't know. Greystone Garden says, I compost all my humans. AJ's Green Topic says that's crazy about composting humans. But I mean, honestly, think of all of the land that cemeteries take up. And those lands could be forests. Those lands could be parks, conservancies for animals. Those could be, major gardens with pollinating plants, to bring bees back. So, it sounds crazy. And I think it just kind of goes so far from like what the conventional process is for going through like a grieving process and burying process and finding closure. But I don't think it's something that we necessarily couldn't get past as a people if people had a better understanding of kind of how beneficial it can be to give back like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my thought process on it. AJ's Garden says, when you water over the black gold, the microbes will go into the manure. That's why you want the manure under the black gold to soak up the microbes. And the microbes break up the manure for the grass. AJ, did you watch the new video that I was talking about earlier? Because Heather explained it really well, that you really need like a mulch layer. Even if you top dress your plants, you really kind of want a mulch layer over the compost because it really will lose some of its value. Even if there's something underneath of it that's going to absorb some of those nutrients, you're still going to lose some of the value from that stuff on the very top. Tiffany says she loves the idea, and I do too. I mean, Tiffany, you're all about, the zero waste and the, environmentally friendly. And that's kind of where I feel like I've been moving more and more towards over the last few years as I really, started to better understand that we have problems, but we also have a lot of solutions at our hand, at our disposal if we're able disposal. That was a funny choice of words. If we just can put them into, into use. Bait the Hook says, just put me in the ground and I'll push up homegrown maters. I'm thinking you're talking about tomatoes or potatoes. I don't know. But either one, whatever works. The Wyatt Life says, when I was a kid, my dad always threw fish on the ground after we were done cleaning them. That's funny because my boyfriend Kevin, his parents are huge fishermen. They have a couple of boats, they go fishing, and that's where all the fish heads, when they, gut their fish when they get home, all of the guts, the bones, everything go into their garden, and they have some of the most beautiful tomatoes and peppers I've ever seen every single year because that soil has gotten so healthy where they throw a lot of that fish waste. And I don't think people really understand that it can make a huge difference. We have some really crappy soil in this area, and his parents are relatively close by. I don't think their soil is much better than ours is, but because of how they're treating it, they're getting these incredible plants. Tiffany says, I think I missed a few things. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I apologize if I missed your comment. Feel free to put it in again if I missed it. And if you just hopped in, if you give me a thumbs up, I really, really appreciate it. Um, so Tiffany says, I have a good friend that makes human orb with worms and uses it to garden. He lets it cure for 12 months, and I think it would be the same. Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of goes along that whole like composting toilets that they're doing a lot in third world countries where they're actually being able to compost the human waste, and it's incredible that worms can really process out the vast majority of pathogens, which is just insane. And when Heather was interviewed in the video that I'm going to post like at the very top of the description below because I can't say enough good things about it. That the worms can actually like multiply the microbial life, and John explained it really well. It's like they take in 10 microbes but they poop out 100. And so when they're able to compost human ore and then age it or cure it, like Tiffany said, it could be used on edibles. I mean, again, pathogens, especially, parasitic things that humans carry would make me very nervous. But even if they wouldn't use it in that way, they could use it to grow trees and things that would protect the environment where they live, and grasses to help protect any sort of runoff from human waste to getting in their drinking water. So there's so many amazing things. There really is. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry, guys. I'm passionate. AJ's Garden says, what do you think happened to people when you die and put into a wooden casket? The worms are going to eat through it. Exactly. But most caskets nowadays are not, wood, or if they are wood, they're like varnished, and it's going to take an incredible amount of time for that to break down, or even to be healthy to break down in our soil with all of that varnish. That's chemical varnish, and then all the lovely metal accents or gold or whatever accents to it that can't compost. So why not, go back to kind of the native way of burying people. I think it's really beautiful how some cultures will just wrap you in cloths and bury you directly in the ground, and that's a way to give back to the earth. I don't know. Maybe I sound a little bit like a hippie, but I just like the idea. Rick says, "Hi, sorry I'm late. Often, wait, sorry I am wait." I'm thinking you said late. Often midwives offer to take your baby's placenta and plant a nice tree. I've heard of people doing that too. Actually, the hospital that I work at did something similar. A family really wanted to save the placenta after their baby was born because they wanted to plant a tree over it for their child to grow up from. So AJ's Garden says fish have all those amino acids. Exactly. And those amino acids are so, so important. And they were talking today in that video earlier about how like all of the bugs that everybody are so afraid of in your worm bin, those bugs are giving back because when they die, they're providing added nutrients which encourage certain microbes as well. And when things like that die, apparently the type of material that they're made from really encourage a more abundant microbial life. When they shed their skins, when the, mosquito, or not mosquito, black soldier fly larva, when they hatch from their cocoons, those cocoons break down. So it's a whole ecosystem in a very contained environment. And so then when we go and we add it to our yards, we're helping expand that to create a healthier living space. I think it's great that each of us at different subscriber levels support each other's channel. It's awesome to learn from everyone. And AJ, that's what I love so much. There's so many different people. We all have our own opinions. Some of us may disagree with a method that another person uses, but it's all about learning and keeping an open mind. And I talked about it in my blog post I posted last week, I guess, that for me, it's not about being right or wrong. I want to show people that this is more accessible. It's easier then, some books, some articles might make you think, do this, do that. Of course, there are some basics that you really have to do. However, things like forbidden foods, things like, you know, composting, roadkill. I might not agree with it. I might not feed roadkill to my worms. However, that doesn't mean that it won't work or that it can't be something that will help somebody else. And if people think there's so many rigid rules, they're going to think it's too complicated and not want to, waste their time trying. So if I can show people that there's a lot of different ways to do it and there's not really one right or wrong way, so long as you're providing adequate bedding, moisture, aeration, and grit, that's all you need. So once you have like a few basics down, like how to maintain a good moisture level and making sure you have a little bit more carbon than nitrogen so you don't get too wet, or acidic, that there's not a whole lot more to it. Of course, we experiment with things and there's other things that you can do, but you don't have to do. Even some of the smaller, newer channels, people who are just starting who have channels, I learned something from every single person. And I also like to be able to go and share my experiences with other people, not to say you're wrong and I'm right, but because that's how we spread more knowledge. I had no idea about the migration method until I saw Lilia do it. I'd heard of it in passing, but I would not have known how to do it. And Lilia taught me that. So and every channel, Grant with his bait cups, a really simple way to get your worms out of your castings. There's always something that I pick up. And for me, that's just expanding kind of my repertoire of what I'm able to do and what I'm able to figure out about my systems and how they run and how I can share some more ideas with my subscribers. So there's nothing about this community that's selfish. I feel like everybody here just wants to spread the word and be helpful. Subscribers aside, that doesn't matter. Educating is the most important thing. Yes, AJ, but this is like more green because it makes less CO2 and less liquids going into the ground. I'm not 100% sure what you're saying, Cecilia, but I think you're talking about like the human composting. Wyatt Life says, but I love that you're here. Thank you. I don't think I said hello to you. Darlene's Garden Channel. More and more people are hopping in here. I'm sorry if I'm missing you. It's not that I'm ignoring you. But Wyatt Life says, I'm growing mostly heirloom plants in the garden this year. My hope is to start saving seeds every year. Plants after a few generations will acclimate to the soil and that they have been growing in. Yeah, you're right. And your soil will get healthier because those root systems, as they develop and break down in the soil, they're providing nutrients to the soil as well, and that encourages worms to move in. Sorry, my hair is driving me crazy. AJ's Garden says, no, you're right. It's the right way to bury people. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong way, again, to do something, and certain cultures prefer to do things certain ways, or religions, and I'm not opposed to any of that, but I do think if we spread some awareness and other options, that people might warm up to the idea a little bit. Jeremy, Tiffany has some really good videos on worm tea, like making worm tea versus like an extract. So she does a really good explanation too. So definitely go over to her channel and check that out. It's very, very helpful, and I like how she shows the different options of how you can make a tea. AJ's Garden says, the forest where the South Pacific salmon breed is one of the most beautiful forests in the world from the fish amino acids. Exactly, because after they breed and spawn, right, they die, and all of those salmon are releasing nutrients into the ground wherever they end up settling, along a shore, even the bottom of the rivers or whatever that may be. It's all providing added nutrients to the environment. Jeremy says, sweet, I would love to make some. Just got a new supply list on things that are needed. Yeah, it's not very many things. If you have a 5-gallon bucket sitting around, a sock, a nylon, a stocking or something like that to wrap the compost up in, and an air pump, that's pretty much all you need. But check out Tiffany's channel. Some people do add a little bit of molasses, but even that is apparently not as necessary as people once thought. Carla says, in your opinion, what causes string of pearls? String of pearls or protein poisoning. I think people get confused because they think protein poisoning means they're feeding too much protein. I honestly don't know how it got that name, but string of pearls is like a direct result of, first of all, an acidic bin and overfeeding. So when the bin gets acidic or the worms are overfed, they're eating and they don't have enough grit to break down the food in their gizzard, and so they bloat up with gases as the food ferments in their body, and then it literally pinches off in pieces. And I should have taken a picture because I had several worms die of string of pearls in one of my breeder trays, and I definitely think it was an overfeeding issue. I was feeding less often, but feeding more food. And after doing a little research and talking to some other people, it sounds like I need to be feeding less more often. But it was a sad thing to see. You definitely don't want to kill your worms. And it was just poor maintenance, I think, on my part. And, but I learned from it. But that is what string of pearls is from. So that's why everybody always preaches more bedding, less food, hold back on the food if you're seeing things are a little off in your bin or there's a smell, and just add more bedding, because you can't go wrong with adding more bedding. Extra grit, always a good thing to have. And just, titrate your feedings so that the worms are almost finished, if not completely finished, before you put more food in there, and you reduce that risk significantly. Tiffany says she sells the tea at the farmer's market every week. Yeah, so Tiffany's going to be a go-to person to give you some information on that. Oh, that's a good point, AJ. So the salmon are also carried into the forest by, I'm sure, like bear and fox and things like that. And so then bones and things are breaking down, giving all of that good nutrients to the forest. Stay away from the molasses. It makes it bacterial dominant. Yeah, I wasn't going to get into all of the scientific part of it because I'm not a specialist on that, but that was Heather Rinaldi. Her takeaway. The takeaway that I had from her speech at the vermiculture conference is that molasses kind of encourages more of the bacterial and reduces some of the good microbial life. Her big thing was that you need a balance. Some bad stuff is not bad. You need to have a balance of the good and bad, because then the bad guys might come eat some of the good guys, but then the good guys proliferate and keep those bad guys from being able to take over, because it's a good homeostatic balance. So that was my takeaway as well, is that the added sugar, not that it's necessarily bad, because in some ways it does help, but increasing the bacteria is not really a good thing, because it could throw off that balance. It's still going to be healthy. Honestly, for your lawn, it's going to be more healthy than any chemical that you could put on it. But I think probably keeping it to a minimum, if not just skipping it altogether, would be good. Good night, the Wyatt Life. I guess he's heading out. AJ, look up Elaine Ingram. Yes, Elaine Ingram. She wrote, I believe, or co-wrote Vermiculture Technology. She's a massive scientist in this field. She's well respected, and she's one of the biggest people to, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of the science behind it and the microbiology behind it. Laura Ingram has some incredible knowledge and materials out there for you to look at. Yeah, AJ, will blow your mind. Exactly. Oh, Melinda says she's on YouTube as well. I don't know if I ever saw her YouTube videos, which is like embarrassing. I didn't know she was on YouTube. I should definitely check that out for sure. I want to announce the giveaway winner from my last live stream. I'd hoped to go live and it's been delayed, but I did not forget about it. So I have the cocoon giveaway, and Killdeer Survival is my winner. So I don't think I've seen Killdeer in here tonight. I'll put his name in the description below, and hopefully he will see that. If he has not claimed his cocoons by next week, I will announce the person who came in second on my generator. And I have another giveaway. I wanted to give away one of the Worm Farming Revolution book by Pauly Piccirillo. I honestly don't remember the pronunciation of his name. But the book is by far one of my most favorite books that I've ever read on worm composting. It is very accessible, understandable, and provides a lot of added like links to videos, articles. So I was going to give one of those books away. So if you are interested in one of those books, in the video that will be coming out tomorrow, I want you to put the hashtag, that hashtag I just typed in, that hashtag underneath the video, and that will get you your entry into the next drawing for the book, which whatever my next live stream is. I don't know if I'll stream while I am away at the beach next week. Probably the following week I will announce a winner. Cassandra says, cool. Yeah, it's a very, very good book. I actually bought a second one because I can't find my first one, and I just really like reading it. A lot of information about breeding rates, laying cocoon rates, all the different types of composting worms. By the way, the Alabama jumper, the scientists nicknamed the crazy worm. So go figure, I don't have those, but they're the crazy worm. AJ said, instead of molasses, you're better off using fresh fermented fruit juice. Takes the pH balance fruit and put in equal parts brown sugar. Let sit for a week until the juice is separated from the solids. Interesting. Melinda says, ooh, beach. Yeah, my parents have a place on the bay, and it's beautiful condo, and we usually go down several times a year because it has a gas fireplace and stuff. We can go down year round, but Kevin and I try to always go down once every summer. So we have the whole condo to ourselves. It's a lovely three bedroom, 2.5 bathroom with a huge porch. So I can't wait to eat some crabs. It'll be so much fun. Jeremy, so what was the answer to the cocoons? So Killdeer Survival won the cocoon giveaway from last time, so I'm hoping he's going to catch this and find his name. If he does not find his name, next week on a community post, I will announce the runner-up who can claim their cocoons. But the giveaway this time, I'm going to give away the Worm Farming Revolution book by Pauly Piccirillo. Yep, so the hashtag, Grant says the hashtag should be worm clue. He's just being a pain in the backside, because a group of worms is called a clue. But the hashtag is worm balls. Put it under my video that will be posted tomorrow. So that would be 5/23. The video posted on 5/23. Put the hashtag worm balls somewhere in your comment, and that will enter you. Greystone Garden says, heading to bed. I have work early. See you all next week. Good night. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you joining. If there's anybody left in here who has not given me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. Oh, Jeremy, he said you had a picture on your live stream, A, B, and C. In what order were the cocoons? It was red wigglers, African night crawlers, and European night crawlers. Grant is pretty awesome, but he does like to give me a hard time. Tell me there's bugs climbing on the wall behind me because he knows I don't like bugs, and say clue instead of worm balls. He'll probably end up using that hashtag under the video. Just you wait. I feel confident that's what he's going to do. So how many cocoons do you think I harvested out of 10 trays? I know you guys don't know how many are in the trays, but just wanted to see if you had a wild guess. If you had to make a wild guess of how many cocoons I got from 10 trays, what do you think? No giveaway for this. This is just for fun. Tiffany says 20,000. Melinda says 10,000. Let me get some more guesses. Oodles and gobs, says Rick. Yep, that's probably right. Jeremy says 42,000. Pizza Man says 27,000. Nobody is right on it. I will tell you, it is between Melinda's guess and Tiffany's guess. How's that? 20 cocoons or 20,000? What was the question? Cassandra says, Cassandra, I'm asking how many cocoons do you think I harvested from 10 trays of worms last night? I know you don't know the exact dimensions or how many worms I have. This is just a for fun, wild guess. Some people are getting closer. Don't see anybody have it yet, but you're all getting closer. All right, now it's between Samantha's guess and Tiffany's guess. Somebody's got to get it. It's not that hard. You have a small range. I'm counting in the thousands. I'm not rounding to any crazy weird number. Well, Lilia says 13,000.01. 18.5 says Melinda. Melinda is the closest. Okay, it was 19.5. I was just going to say 19, but since she said the 18.5, it was 19,500, which was a really good harvest for me. I was quite excited about it because I'm still getting the swing of things, getting the worms to do what I want them to do. So I was sitting on my floor here in the living room with all of my bowls of the different types of cocoons, packaging them up last night, and Kevin was nice enough to run them to the post office for me today. He had to take like a big like the reusable grocery bags, but like the big ones that you can get at Aldi, and he took that up to the post office. Yeah, it's pretty incredible, but it's also pretty incredible the amount of hours it took me to harvest all of that. Yeah, Samantha, it is a lot, and my back and shoulders are reminding me of that today for sure. Tiffany says, amazing. I think you're really onto something. Yeah, Tiffany, well, I know you're involved in the program too, going to get started here after the big move. But yeah, I think it could be kind of a turning point, something a little bit fun, but also has some benefits over selling worms, especially during certain times of the year that shipping worms are difficult. They're much more forgiving. The cocoons are in that way, and I think that would make it more accessible year round. It could be essentially upfront. It might be a little bit more expensive, but essentially it could be saving you money because you're going to get more worms than the number of cocoons that you buy. So it's it could be a really interesting way to also save some of the environmental impact, just in the fact that the shipping container is much smaller, weighs a lot less, so it's going to contribute to less need for gas or space in all of the postal service. I mean, of course, the impact is minuscule. However, every little bit adds up. If we all are contributing a little bit to reduce that, all for it. Melinda says hers are hatching and her grandson is loving it. Yeah, my acupuncturist, who I literally gave 11 cocoons to, I think, like a very small number. Her daughter has been hatching them, and she texted me last week, and she said that she said her daughter was running all over the house telling her sons, her siblings, that her babies were hatching, and she wanted to show them. And then apparently she took it to her friend's house and showed her friend. So it was it was really cute, and it makes me happy that her daughter initially really didn't like the worm bin that I had set up for them. It was kind of creeped her out, but I think hatching the cocoons and seeing the worms grow up in a small number that she herself did really got her involved, and now she apparently is digging in the worm bin. So it also makes it a little bit easier to kind of stomach, because you kind of ease into it as opposed to get a giant box and pour a huge pile of worms into a bin. Let's see. Oh, Tiffany, that's amazing. She says, I want to get a few shillings with a microscope. I can't wait. That would be incredibly cool if you could catch some of that on film. I mean, because if you even catch like one coming out of a cocoon, there could still be another one behind it. So yeah, as they're getting dark, you might want to pull a few out and watch them really close and maybe catch some hatching. That would be insane. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but I'm going to clue you guys into a little clue, not with a W, Grant. You into a little something coming up that I am ultra excited about. How many of you have seen AV, the time lapses that he does of worms? His channel, by the way, is linked below. Anybody seen his time lapses, the pumpkin time lapses or the clear layered bin time lapses? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Tiffany says I have. Cassandra, yes. Pizza Man, yes. Melinda, yes. Are they not like amazing? Paula Rita, hello, welcome. So if you have not seen them, you need to go hop down to his channel now and go check them out. If you want to convert someone to worm composting and how incredible it is, that's the way to go. I have been talking to Andy for a while now, and he is going to do a cocoon side by side by side in a clear container, hatching them and having them compost. And I am like over the moon excited to see how that works out. I just totally, it just kind of came out of nowhere. He commented, we started emailing, and I was like, let me give you cocoons. I want to see a time lapse. So we set it up. So his cocoons are in the mail. So be watching his channel, because I think he'll be doing some videos setting that up. And then of course it'll be a while before we really see any progress from it. But it's going to be really, really cool. And honestly, he is putting in all of the work, but I think I'm going to have a little bit of like a good feeling if I can see all of my cocoons hatch and do a time lapse for him. It's going to be the coolest thing ever. So I am blown away. So don't go ruining the surprise for anybody else, but I couldn't contain myself. He never said I couldn't say anything, but I think it's going to be pretty epic. It's going to be a lot of fun. So between all of you guys, I know Plant Obsessed. So Anne over at Plant Obsessed, she's been hatching some cocoons, and now it looks like Tiffany will be doing some, Grant, Melinda. So I get to hear from all of you guys, and it's really, really exciting. I know Cassandra has some African nightcrawler cocoons. I think she has some more in the mail. Holarita says, I found a huge nightcrawler in a small compost pile I started in a cardboard box. Y'all may think I'm crazy. I plan to do worm composting when I get moved and things get in order. You're in the right crowd. None of us are going to think you're crazy. No way. No way. It's so much fun. And me being like I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm a bugaphobe for sure. That outdoor bin, it's something, the more I understand, even these beetles in the house and that I've had, not in my house, but in the bins and stuff, that freak me out. I've had a few I've spotted on the floor in the worm room, and of course they're like this big. I'm just starting to accept it and understand the ecosystem. And I digged in that trash can bin, like 2 weeks ago when I posted that video, and there were like some millipedes in there, and I scared myself because I didn't really jump too much at it. I was just like, look at, in my mind, I'm talking to you guys, not that way in the video, but I was like, look at all of this life. Like, this is incredible. All of these leaves breaking down in here. This is going to be some of the best stuff. My inside stuff is great, but that stuff outside that has some of that more woody, leafy material is going to be really excellent for sure. Yeah, Tiffany says, yeah, nobody's going to think she's crazy because, yeah, we're all a bunch of worm nerds, worm nuts, who knows. Yep, worm nerds rule, Melinda, you are right. Rick says, so you're like a crazy surrogate worm mommy. Yeah, exactly. And then I'm just giving off all of my children to loving families, but then I get to watch from afar and be all super excited about it. So it's pretty cool. I don't think many people would be excited the way I am. All these emails I'm getting. I know Melinda sent me some pictures. Karen has sent me some pictures of the wisps, and it's very, not oddly satisfying, but odd the amount of satisfaction I get out of getting those emails. So any of you guys who have worms from me, cocoons from me, send me pictures. I absolutely love it. It makes my day. Holarita says, well, I didn't do it for the worms, but I was turning it today and there were a lot. And I think a lot of people get started that way. They see when the worms move into the compost that they have and that soil is so healthy, then they just start kind of, even if it's just like a static pile outside, but that they feed it to encourage and keep the worms there. It doesn't have to be a bin for you to be considered like a worm farmer. It can be anything you want. It could be a windrow. It could be a trench. It could be a garbage can or a bin. It doesn't really matter. If your goal is to encourage those worms and create some really healthy compost, more power to you, because all of us, that's where we want to go. And the more worms I see around my yard, around my house, the happier I am, because I know that what I'm doing is having an impact. And I have a butterfly bush that's really struggling out front of my house. I think it's mostly my fault because I didn't prune it back, and I'm afraid now it's too late for me to prune it back. But usually by this time of the year, it's starting to bloom, and it's not blooming. It doesn't look dead, but it's not blooming. So I think I'm going to go out and top dress that, and then, put the mulch over top of it, water it down, and give it a few weeks and see what happens. Maybe I'll film that along with that bare spot in my backyard, because those will be, and I'll take some shots of the little area where I'm harvesting my cocoons, so that there's been a lot of healthy runoff of, I guess, essentially like a worm extract, because I'm running water through it, and see what types of differences we notice in a few weeks as some of the castings and the extract, the water, are treating those plants. Cassandra says, do it. All right, I'm committed. You guys can hold me to it. Tomorrow I will go out and film some random shots around my yard of my ornamentals, since apparently it's getting to the point where I don't even know if I'm going to get a vegetable garden in. Is it too late? Any of you guys who are gardeners, is it too late to get plants in? I mean, I could always just throw a bunch of seeds in the garden and pray something grows, but I don't think that would happen. But I might as well try, at least to treat some of the ornamentals and just to see what happens. It'll just be kind of a fun little side experiment, but it definitely would be, at the very least, something that I could add to show people some of the benefits, even just on their grass. So Melinda, I was reading about it earlier today, and they were like saying that you need to prune it back in early spring. I am not a gardener. So the dead, the pieces that are dead, which they naturally die because of the cold in the winter, I can cut back those dead pieces and it won't injure the plant. Like they'll be okay. That's what I'm afraid about. So I'll cut. Melinda says it's never too late to plant the garden. I'm just afraid if I plant now, I'll have a very short harvest period. But maybe just for the heck of it, since I've waited way too long, we'll do a really crazy experiment. I will take you out to the garden. This might not happen until after I get back from the beach, but at this point, it'll just be more for fun than anything else. But I'll throw some seeds into my garden with compost and just see if we end up getting any vegetable plants that are able to grow to maturity. Tiffany says, look into growing some stuff from food scraps instead of seeds to speed things up. That's a really good idea. Well, Cassandra, yeah, it is too late for cold weather stuff. But tomatoes, peppers, melons. Our first frost, probably, sometimes it would come in late. I would say sometimes as early as late September, but usually not until the end of October. But Maryland weather can be a little off. But we have quite some time. We have at least through September that we usually have relatively warm temperatures through September. It's not until mid-October that it usually gets cold, but there have been anomalies the last few years. You could have a later harvest, though, and be getting more vegetables longer. That's true. I think I'm always worried about if it's too late, if they don't grow to maturity, is it worth my time? But I think it's always worth your time because, like I was saying, even if they don't grow to maturity, I can still leave them in and just let those roots sit over the winter. And again, they will provide some organic matter so that the soil will be even healthier in the summer next year. Or just herbs. Herbs are easy. You're right, Cassandra. And we love herbs. I love mint and like orange juice or like lemon juice and water in the summer. It's so refreshing. And we usually like a lot of rosemary and sage and thyme. And I love cilantro. Kevin's in the team soapy cilantro. Are you team soapy or do you like cilantro? Kevin says it tastes like soap, but parsley, oregano, all that good stuff. Pizza Man says he always has some plants growing in his worm bins. Yeah, I usually do too. Melinda says you're good. You could pick up some veggie plants from your garden shop, and I probably will. I think I'd be sad if I didn't at least try. I guess, honestly, part of me was disappointed that I just wouldn't be able to bring much content to you guys, especially if it doesn't work. But I guess it's part of my whole thing. I try to take you guys along for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I don't know if there is really such thing as like failing gardening because you learn from every experience of disappointment or something not working. You learn something from it. And again, whatever does grow can provide some organic matter to help the garden for next year. I think that's some good advice. I think I will definitely put something in. We will figure it out, but something will go in there for sure. Holarita, yeah, fresh cilantro does smell so good. I mean, I don't think the smell bothers him, but I've seen things about this that some people think it's disgusting and tastes like soap. And so it's not just him, but I love cilantro. Like, I load down my guacamole with cilantro. I like cilantro sprinkled over fish tacos, things like that. But no, he's like, that is disgusting. It tastes just like dish soap. I don't know. Okay, so I'm not alone. Maybe it's a guy thing. If Grant is still in here, Grant, do you think it tastes like soap? Tiffany says it's the best way to learn. I'm guessing you're saying by just trying. I've killed my tomato starts already this year. Next year, I'll be more patient with moving them outside. Do you think it was like shock? Like you transplanted too early? I don't know if it's a taste bud problem. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like the what was it, that dress that some people saw blue and gold, others saw something else or however that was. Just like some people, it's like a left brain, right brain thing. Here's the nurse side of me, but if you have, if you're more dominant on one side of the brain than the other, there's certain things that you can really distinguish that by. Genetics. Yeah, Whitney, it could be genetics. That's right. Lilia says, oh, Lilia says that cilantro tastes like soap to her and it smells like dirty socks. So see, Lilia also has the oddity because I love cilantro. Okay, and Whitney says it tastes like soap to her too. Holarita says, well, I'm going to get out of here. 5 comes early. Good night. Good night. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll probably get ready and wrap up in a few minutes. But you guys tell me anything else you'd like to talk about. It was kind of a low-key, kind of no agenda kind of night. I just enjoy getting on here. Excuse me, talking with you guys and just chatting it up. It always seems that we have topics that come up that are fun to kind of discuss for sure. Samantha says, good night, everyone. Got to go to bed. She has work tomorrow also. Samantha says she's glad she joined. I am not working tomorrow. So I stay up all night anyway. So I'm not in any rush to go to bed, but I know most people, especially if you're East Coast people, it's getting pretty late. It's almost 10 p.m. So I don't blame you if you have to go. Do what you got to do. For sure. I'm actually working 4 days in a row this week, 12-hour shifts. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I'm working my usual weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I'm also working Monday so that I could use one less vacation day to have my almost 10-day vacation. So, sometimes you got to power through some extra work to get to the fun stuff. And I'm going to harvest the day I'm done. So I guess Tuesday, I'll have to harvest the next round of cocoons on Tuesday on very little sleep, and then we'll drive down to the beach on Wednesday after dropping cocoons off in the mail. My brother came up today, and I think you guys probably saw him in one of my videos. I think it was setting up the sand versus eggshell. It was that long ago, I think. But he came up today, and I gave him one of our house keys and showed him how to feed the breeder trays. And I mean, the worms really make him gag. It gross him out. And poor thing, I was like, I have to see you do it. I have to make sure you do it right. Thank you, Lily. I'm going to try to film as many videos as I can ahead of time. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend a lot of time on the worms so that hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I can at least have a video every 3 days-ish. I'm gonna try to do the best I can. Rick says a lot of plants fruit under 90 in under 90 days. Go for it. A few starts are cool. Yeah, Tiffany's taking one for the team. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by. Remember to drop that hashtag in my video tomorrow. It'll also be in the description below. If you guys see Kill Deer Survival around, let him know. And we will announce the book giveaway either next week or the week after, whatever my next live stream is. You guys all take care. I appreciate all of your support. Keep sharing all of your information, your videos. And I will talk to you guys real soon. Thanks, Pizza Man. Good night, Lilia. Good night, Cassandra. Have a beautiful night to you too, Tiffany. Good night, Melinda. I will talk to you guys real soon.